So, welcome everyone. It's September the 1st and it's launch day for Design Adventures. I'm really excited. Thank you, Maddy, for being here with me. Um, should we share some gratitude to start us off? And if people would like to share some gratitude in the chat and where you're calling in from, it's just lovely to see what a global group we have already. Yeah, Maddy, how are you doing and what are you grateful for today?
Oh, what am I grateful for today? I'm so grateful that today has come because we work for very long time spans on book projects, and I feel like the germination of this seed began many years ago in about 2000, before 2012. So I'm just so delighted to have traveled on this journey with all these books. And then for me, this is very much quite a culmination to have this little feisty book in my hands at last and be able to share it with the world. And I'm so delighted to have got to that point.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you. Well, I would like to give gratitude for all the people that have just supported this book to come into creation. Obviously, yourself, Maddy, and the all the design work we've done together to make this happen, and all of your team for all the editing advice and design and yeah, definitely been a collaborative effort. And then all the people that have given stories into this book, that have shared their design process, because we were obviously, well, not obviously for some of you, but this the design web, which is what the book is based upon, has been out since 2012. So color goes funny every time I hold it up. It's like books here. um, so thousands of people have been using the design web all over the world, and that all of that, even if I don't know about it, has kind of that wisdom seems to have flown into the book, and then more explicitly, all the people from around the world that have contributed stories into the book as well. That has just made it not just my voice, but lots of people, and then yeah, people. Like Emma here, who's my definitely my right hand woman, who has supported me in so many ways and given me headspace to do that, and my partner Chris, who's held lots of domestic stuff. He's at the moment feeding animals and all those things that have to happen that allow me to do the exciting writing process. And so, yeah, really grateful. I'm grateful to Delvin for collaborating on the group diploma adventure, which has also added so much wisdom into the group, because every time I look at someone else's design or I assess it or tutor them, I like learn something as well in that process. So I'm really grateful for all the collective wisdom that has gone into the book. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for writing in the chat. It's great to see how many different countries we've got here. It's just yeah, it's really exciting. It's part of our the going global design, which we'll maybe touch upon later. Yeah, great.
So, can I ask you a question?
You can definitely. And just to let
Okay.
everyone know that we'll be doing some questions, and Maddie's got loads of questions for me, and I know some of you have sent in questions, and we'll have a bit of a experiential moment as well in the call as well.
So you've just said something about, 2012, that's when you published, that when you wrote, well, sorry, yes. So People and Permaculture was published by us in 2012, and that was your first book, which for me is still the definitive text about people and permaculture design, and going from sort of the microcosm and the personal scale right up to communities, groups, and beyond. And then you did cultural emergence, and we did a whole process about redesigning or designing new cultures for a new world, and holding the vision that what we designed in the microcosm for ourselves could become the macrocosm with tipping points and scale. And you mentioned something about design adventures. I was going to call it divine adventures because it's been a divine process. Um, but tell me, just for everyone out, for lots of other people who are going to listen in or hear now, what for you is the essence of the difference? What's new? Because we've taken something that we felt was really important, and taken it from earlier work, but created something completely new. And I think it's really important to just pause for a moment and value that expansion of a whole concept, and also the collaboration. And I just would like you to just iterate a little bit about that from that perspective. I know you gave a hint at the beginning, but I think it's important. What's new, Luby, in this?
Well, I have a sort of real deep belief in non-linear learning and actually in non-linear writing as well. So for some people, this will be the first encounter with my work, and that is, that is really great. It has that ability to for you to like drop in straight away, get started designing and using the tools and doing designs for your life for without having actually ever looked at any of my other books or even dipped your toes into permaculture. You can just straight away dive in, and that was a part of the intention. Alongside that, though, if you have actually read my other books and you've used it, you will still gain so much with this book, because there is like a distillation of the work, and also like so the design web was like embedded into people and permaculture amongst all the other tools and principles, and like scaling up as from looking at yourself to looking at relationships to looking at society and then the bigger picture. And so there was this like this the design web was in there, and then it was also then when it was like reframed my work into cultural emergence and that toolkit, the design web was definitely a part of that. And now it's like looking at, with design adventures, it's kind of looking at it from the other way round almost, that the design web is the frame that we're then looking at the other tools rather than the other tools looking into the design web. It's like looking out, and like having the design web at the center, and then saying, okay, well, if we want to design our well-being, how do we use the cultural emergence principles? Or if we want to design our culture of effectiveness, how do we use the practices of cultural emergence? So it's looking at it very much through the design web lens, and seeing how all of those tools can support our designing. So it's just, yeah, looking at it from a different way. And there was a lot. I mean, in my gratitude there, I was sharing gratitude from all the kind of from all the collective wisdom, and it was kind of like, okay, what are the things that I keep saying when I'm looking at people's designs? Where are their sticking points in the process, and how do I help them unstick that? And then it's like, okay, and now how do I write about that to support everyone? So yeah, so it's looking at it from another way, but whichever way you come into it, that there's a pathway to follow, and for finding your own way through it as well. So I'm really was hoping that people, and this is what I'm hearing already, because there are books already out in the world, although this is the launch day. That what I'm hearing is that it's really consolidative, like either consolidating what people have, or their journey people have already been on, and or providing a springboard into the whole body of work that is cultural emergence, that is people and permaculture, that then takes us into permaculture. Yeah.
And that was what we were really seeking, wasn't it? Something that would add nutrition to the experienced practitioner and designer, but also something that would be accessible and simple um, for new people, because that for me is the critical. For me, that's a critical importance, that each anchor point is really understandable. It's
Mm.
simple, and sometimes in the simplest ideas are, the depth is depth and sophistication of thinking, um, but it's clever to be simple.
Yeah, yes. And that was part of our designing, wasn't it, for the book? So Maddie and I gathered together back in February 24. So actually not that long ago from when the book wasn't in existence at all, and didn't have a title, but we knew it was going to be about the design web. And we were like, let's make it really like pocket sized and really accessible. That was one of our intentions, wasn't it? And I went slightly over our word count, but as usual, but not too much. And it's very
Too
much
much.
got lots of pictures in, and flows nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, you were very good. So that leads me to my next question before we have some do something else. But for some people, the concept of having a design adventure is a privilege. Because it implies resources like time, education, and indeed possibly money. That we need to have money to go and buy things, to want to learn new things. Um, and I feel like you mentioned the design of the book, it's deliberately pocket sized. It's a low cost book. It's not an expensive textbook. And the way that you've presented it is very readable and illustrated. So, but what would you say about the accessibility, and what would you say about the privilege of design? Is how can we open this up even more?
That's a great question, actually, of like there is a privilege of it being in English, and being
For the
accessible
moment.
at the moment, yes. And certainly there's a bigger design that this book is part of, which is the Going Global Cultural Emergence design, which is currently in a very exciting stage of translations happening for the seed deck in multiple countries. I know there's people here that are involved in that translation. So I think there's like 16 different languages it's currently being translated into, because I was aware of that limit, and with limits we always try and turn them around and go, okay, what's the pathway through this limit, or how do we overcome it? So I'm very aware of that. I think in essence, it's easy to engage with the design process, and we all do engage. That's one of my premises really for the book, is that we are all designers. And yeah, this will be a good segue into the next part of this. And so I think it's about bringing forth our skills as designers and saying, yes, we are all designers. How can we do this? And how can we design from where we are at the moment? So this is why I feel that, you know, permaculture and people in permaculture is so important, because and to reframe permaculture as not just being gardening, because it is a privilege to have access to land, and it is something that not everyone wants to do. Not everyone has direct access to earth care, but we all have direct daily access to people care, daily access, daily responsibility for people care. That can be just, the um, seemingly simple but not necessarily simple act of caring for ourselves and really caring for ourselves, let alone all the people around us. So this is part of this, to be, what I was wanting to do with people and permaculture was to break this myth, bust this myth that permaculture is just about gardening and about earth care, and to say, no, actually, we all have responsibility for people care, and we can all use design to support us where we are at the moment, in small ways as well as big ways, in small ways of like, how can I design my morning routine to support me? How can I uh, like look after my aches and pains in my body, and like, what's happening right now that I can improve, that I can take responsibility for, that I can explore and observe and find new pathways out of it and vision a new way. Because it's really, if we can't do that for ourselves, how can we do that for the world? And the more we do that for ourselves, the more like we have capacity, with more we have that insight into like, the world can be different, we can shift the status quo and make changes. So the more we design for ourselves, the more we want to design beyond that as well. So I think it it's also about breaking that idea of that sort of the intellectual, like designing is intellectual, and that we need to have a degree for it, or go to university or study it. And it's like, actually, no, bringing it back into designing as a an embodied experience of a conversation that we are in, is like we're in a conversation with life, and that we can all be in conversation with life in wherever we are on that journey. So, I think someone asked me about their top tip for new people stepping into designing, and my top tip is start small. Start small and start with where you are at. So I've got a whole part in here about designing your week ahead, and an adventure guide for that. And I've also got an online course for that as well. And it's really like, do your design for your week ahead, because your week ahead is going to happen. And so you've got nothing to lose there, and you'll be able to just like infuse your week with some extra visioning, some extra awareness, some extra momentum, and motivation, and then see what happens, and then gain the nutrients from that, and like the insights, and then go, oh, maybe I could design this part and design this part. So I take people through in the book, right from the microgreens of designing your week ahead, right through to the visionary large scale, how do we change the world? I'm designing, because it's important to do those visionary designs as well, definitely.
Brilliant. So that,
Loving all the hearts and the emojis, so
yeah, yeah, thank you.
please go ahead, more
It's,
emojis.
it's good to be encouraged, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, because for me that's so important that it is bite-sized, that it is accessible, that there are places to start, that you don't need a degree in higher education, that you don't need lots and lots of money. There's loads of free resources online, and I believe that you're going to launch something amazing soon, aren't you? Do you want
I,
to reveal?
Maybe we'll just keep everyone for a little bit longer in
Okay,
suspense.
very crafty.
But yeah, there is a launch, not just
Yeah.
for the book, but for those of you that we'll save it. Well,
Okay. I just like to tease. Um,
yeah, you have to stay put and stay watching, and you'll get the reveal. Yeah, it's
so
amazing how many people are calling in here from like we've Scotland, France, Canada, England, US, Norway, Philippines, Wales, Finland, so many
Kenya,
different countries.
Ireland,
Kenya,
France,
yes. Oh yeah, Sweden. Oh, there's more coming. Yeah,
brilliant.
Wales.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Italy.
Great.
So Luby, we were going to do a visualization, and I
Hmm.
think it's really time for something that we collectively can share as a group for this, just to mark this moment. So, can I hand that on to you as a request?
Yes, certainly. I'll take you off. So yeah, I've talked about ourselves as a designer and believing that we are all designers. So I thought I'd just take us into a visualization, and I'm really just doing this flowing in the moment. I haven't prepared this, but it's how I find is nice to just see what arises in the moment. So if you'd like to just soften your gaze or close your eyes, and I'm going to take us on a little journey to discover our inner designers. So please just take a few deep breaths and just soften in to your body. Really feel feel your feet on the ground, and feel yourself in your chair or your floor, wherever you're sitting, and just breathing into that and just coming into your body. And just feeling into that place in your body and your mind that is curious, that is open to possibilities, that has questions, that is searching. And then taking your awareness to your imagination, your ability to vision, your ability to vision the future, to see yourself somewhere else, whether it's a journey that you're about to take and visioning yourself on the other side, or whether it's visioning the meal you're about to cook. So, all those small ways that you vision the future, vision yourself leaving the home, vision yourself finishing a course that you start, all those ways that you're imagining the future. And feeling into your body, imagining yourself, your body, of how you move through limits, how you weave your way through any blocks that come in your path, that you're constantly assessing the situation and redirecting your energies and resources. Of maybe that's a small thing of discovering you don't have an ingredient and you for the recipe, and you adapt and change and decide on new things, and just feeling how that is in your body, maybe moving a little bit, how you weave in and out of possibilities and find new pathways forwards. And then accessing your pattern awareness, your ability to recognize the seasons changing, the times of day, the times to do things, the moon cycles, all these patterns, these natural patterns, as well as these cultural patterns and personal patterns and family patterns, and how you weave around all of these patterns, mostly intuitively, sometimes consciously. And accessing that part of you that likes to get things done, that's action orientated, that you can get up and get the washing up done, or tidying the house, or packing, or cooking, all those things that your body does that makes things happen, that is movement orientated, that you can do. How you keep that going, keep the momentum building. And then coming into the appreciation anchor point and feeling into your heart, feeling the gratitude, your capacity for gratitude, your capacity for appreciating yourself, for appreciating other people, for appreciating the world around you, appreciating the support you're given. And the reflection anchor point, that ability to observe what's happened, to think about lessons you've learned, what you might do next time differently. And then coming into the pause anchor point, the rejuvenating anchor point, your capacity for fun and bringing laughter and joy into what you do, bringing creativity, bringing rest and friendship, bringing all of those things that rejuvenate you into your work, into your life, into your personal well-being. And just feeling all of those capacities within you, that you can tap into any of them at any time, that all of these things are part of your inner designer that's ready to give you agency in your life, to support you, support your well-being, to support your relationships, to support your work, to support us collectively, to the collective design spirit that can envision new pathways for humanity that are in relationship with each other and with the earth, that can bring more peace and more harmony into our personal lives as well as our collective lives. And our inner designer that can be in dialogue with life, with ourselves, with other people, that can help us respond, that can help us on our design adventures, that's excited, courageous, curious, connected. And just really giving some appreciation for our inner designers who have been working all this time since we were very little, but maybe we haven't really connected with them before. They've been there in the background, and now just welcoming them, bringing them into the conversation, listening to them, flowing with them, activating them. Just giving yourself a little bit of gratitude there, and then just gently, gently opening your eyes. coming back into our Zoom space. I'll find, where are you, Maddy?
I'm right here.
Hmm.
You'll find me.
Yes, great, I found you. Oh, there we
Yay. Thank you. Oh, it's nice to pause, isn't it?
go. It really
On,
is.
on the magical journey of adventure, just to take a breather.
Yes, yeah, and just to really feel that designing isn't about coming from our head and thinking that we have all the solutions, but it's being in that conversation and letting the design do the talking and being open to listening and opening to our body wisdom and the wisdom from the more than human world to come in. And that was really something that I've woven into the book, because I think it's so valuable to do that, to really listen with our bodies and our hearts as well as thinking that we have the solutions. Because if we're honest, the world isn't really showing us at the moment that humanity has all the solutions, that the solutions will come from our brains. I think the solutions will come from a bigger collective interaction with the more than human world.
Yeah, and our capacity to be, as Manda Scott calls it, the hollow bone, to be able to, bring that through and bring it through the heart,
Mm.
not just the head.
Yeah.
So, on that note, what is the most magical design adventure you have ever experienced? And this is a wonderful question from Lonna Holden in the US. I hope you're here listening, but if you're not, we've got your fabulous
Yeah.
question and thank you.
Yeah, and I think there was another question from Kevin Gelder, who is here, that like the most exciting projects that we've done. So magical and exciting. Well, I think the one that has been most impactful for me is the Finding Applewood design, where myself and my partner Chris, we'd been visioning having our own permaculture centre and being able to run courses, and we had been doing that for quite a few years before we said, well, are we going to do this? Like, if we're going to do this, let's put some energy behind it. And we had young children at the time, and they were away for the weekend, and we were like, right, okay, this is our time to step into this design process and make the commitment. And there was really, through doing that design process, we really crossed what I call the threshold of commitment, of just like, okay, actually, we really want this. We're going to make it happen, and then to really continue listening to the design as well, because it was very successful. We called it initially land search, and we were successful in finding some land, which was a beautiful piece of land, but it didn't have a house on, and we thought we could go through all the planning permission for it and make it happen, and we were quite committed to that. But the universe kept on saying no to us with the other houses, and it was no, no, again, no. We're like, okay, actually, let's listen here. It really, is this working for us? Do we think this is going to work? Is this going to happen? And we had to make a very difficult decision to say no. Okay, we need to let go of this piece of land, and we need to find somewhere with house, because that's what our family needs. And the universe is just saying to us, this design isn't finished, even though we were like, we found land, yay. But we were like, but where are we going to live? Oh yeah. And then we listened to that, and then 3 weeks later we found Applewood, which was actually through, it was only advertised in the permaculture magazine. So I do fully appreciate you, Maddie, for your um, having the magazine as a place where people can find magical pieces of land. And we always say it's Applewood magic here because it is such a gorgeous place. So I think that has been the most magical journey. I would say, I mean, I've had so many amazing design adventures, whether it's been like just, not I say just, but actually really impactful was my desire, like I had a repetitive strain injury from writing too much, and which I was just living with. I was just like, oh, that's the status quo, and then it was like, well, does this have to be the status quo? No, like everything is solvable, as a principle I think from Delvin's design deck, and I was just like, yeah, let's take this through the design process. And that's, it's now been over a decade where I know that it's still there, and I could very easily activate my repetitive strain injury if I chose to, but I don't. I now have mechanisms and infrastructure and awareness that means that I don't fall into that. So that was a very successful design that I did. So yeah, I think that, and then I think, designing with other people always brings magic. It's I think when you're designing by yourself, you kind of get more or less what you expect. There still are, unexpected things, and it's still an adventure. But when you design with other people, then it really is kind of the emergence is exploding everywhere, and all sorts of things can come forth. So yeah, yeah, I do find designing quite a magical process, wherever you start. And I think that's why it's design adventures, because I think when you're designing for land, when you plant an apple tree, you're going to get apples. But when you're designing with people, you don't know what you're going to get. When you're designing for yourself, all sorts of unexpected delights can come forth.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I've got another question from Bridget Tehan, which is momentum is hard to regain after some setbacks or delay. Any advice within the design web about how to get energy back into a project?
Mm. It's such a important question, really, because we can put all this energy into like starting something and it's all exciting, but then we lose the momentum, or we don't maintain things. So the momentum is one of the 12 anchor points that you learn about. So it's about maintaining as well as building momentum. And I think there's a really interesting dance and relationship between pause and momentum, and they how they interact with each other, and how we often don't go into pause because we're afraid of losing momentum, but that actually they can feed each other. And that pause doesn't always mean just like, oh, I'm walking away from the design and having a holiday. It's like, no, how do we bring that fun and joy and creativity into the design itself, so that it's woven in, and that in itself provides momentum. So I think, if your project has lost momentum, then it's like, where do you go? And I did write about this in the book of like how to unstick a design, because we've all had those designs that we've started really enthusiastically, and then it kind of gets put on the shelf, and we're like, oh yeah, I did start this design for my creative routine, creativity routines, and then I've just abandoned it. And so I've put there of like how you can use the other anchor points to to regain that momentum, to start you off again and be like, okay, what are there limits that you've come across, or how could you bring in pause or appreciation? What are the principles that might support you? So yeah, any of the other anchor points that can move you forward. Yeah.
I ask you something. tell me, don't tell me about how, but like, where is it in you that inspires you to evolve all this thinking and all of this framing and then do the real grunt work of writing it down? Because it's hard work being a writer. It doesn't, you have to really dig deep into yourself and face your own sense of self-limitation and the things that you might tell yourself about what you can't do. So what carries you through on a very human level that lets you make the space and helps you to believe that you really can do it?
Hmm. Yeah, thank you. And I think someone else asked that question of like, how do you write so many books? And which is a similar question. I use the tools. So when I started writing people on permaculture, and that was definitely my biggest learning curve. Now I'm like, okay, I know what to do, but definitely when I was writing people on permaculture, I was in that what you've just described there of like that sort of why do it, can I do it, how do I do it, those questions, and I think I focused on the how do I do it, so I was I was like aware that I had two small children in the house, and that I was sharing an office with my partner, and so I was just like, this isn't just gonna happen by itself. I need to really put in some thought here. And so I had, designed and was like, I had my writing basket, which was a basket that I'd made, which was my nomadic writing basket. So I could go other places. I'd sometimes put it in the car. And if I was waiting for one of my children, like they were doing a club or something, I'd sit in the car and mind map. And so I was really like using the process. And the first principle that I had was catch and store energy, because it was like, oh, I keep on having these ideas and these thoughts and inspirations, but then they just come and go. And it's like, okay, as soon as I have it, I'd write it down, and like on a scrap of paper or in mind map, a notebook, wherever I could. It'd be like, write it down. If I've had an interesting conversation that's sparked things, write it down. And yeah, so I very intentionally designed the process, of how, the question of like, can I do that? I sort of leaned into what I could already do, which I think is very much around the helps anchor point of like our um our recognizing our skills and our resources, even if we're not sure how they directly help us. So I was like, well, I've learned how to teach, so this is just kind of writing down my lesson plans and like translating, instead of being in a group of people, that I'm writing to a group of people. So I was like, okay, how do I use that transferable skill to support me? And yeah, I think there is a lot of belief. I think one of the tricks that I do now when I'm writing a book, when I'm starting a process, is I go for quantity rather than quality. So I will just say to myself, okay, just write at the beginning, like write 500 words, and I'm very much word counting at that time. And I think I'll go back and edit it and polish it and refine it and reorder sentences and things, but I don't need to do that at this stage. So I gain a lot of momentum by just going, right, 500 words a day, and just whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I don't even need to read it back at it at this stage. And then it flows. And a lot of it needs editing and a lot of it doesn't need editing. And it's just like, it's like, oh, that I like that sentence. That came out really well first time. That does happen when you're writing, when you're not expecting it. Yeah. So yeah, basically I use the tools. That's and I reframe. So when I was writing people in permaculture, I like, before I'd even committed to it, before I'd made that contract with you and Tim, I was like, well, it'd be great to do it one day, but I'll do it when I feel like I'm this really amazing, wonderful person. And it's just like, oh, when is that going to happen? You know, maybe the world needs it before I'm this perfect person. So I reframed it to thinking, okay, well, I'll learn more people care skills in the process, and I always do. Like whenever I'm writing, I always learn in the process. I don't know everything. So, yeah, those are some of the tips. Yeah. I'm
Great,
wondering
thank
now if it's a good moment for us to hear from one of our storytellers.
you.
I wonder.
I'd love to hear from one of our storytellers. Who are you going to choose?
Well, should we get Laura, are you here? We've got Laura. Do- can you put your hand up if you're here? Let's see.
Yes, I'm here. Oh, sorry, I'm here.
Ah, great. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So, Laura, would you like to share where you're from and then just a couple of minutes on the story in your book, in my book?
Yes, yes, in your book.
A book too.
Uh, I'm calling in from very stormy south of France, so I hope my internet connection stays okay. But I'm originally Dutch. I'm also working on the translations for Dutch, which is great work, teamwork. And the book here, yeah, I got it, of course. And as Luby also asked us to make little notes about how we use the book. I also already have like put in all these little notes on how I used the book and what changed in my life when I started to use cultural emergence. And specifically, I wrote a little bit about limits, because for me that's quite an interesting anchor point because I have very much the tendency to very focus a lot on what are my limits rather than what are my, the good things and the skills. And so what I wrote about this was my story about the design on self-care. It was my first design of the group adventure. And that was that the limits actually learned me a lot, way more than I thought. And that is kind of that I applied solutions thinking to the limits, and that's now kind of a habit. Like, yes, I can identify a limit. Like, I have often the belief I really need to work hard to be, a good person. So self-care not needed. And when you apply solutions thinking to that, like, maybe I can find out a bit more about that belief. Is it actually true? And I mean, where does it come from? And is it a useful belief? Well, no, it's not. So, that's kind of more a solutions thinking rather than sinking into it and accepting it. Like, yeah, I have this limit. And also a learning was to indeed dive deeper into these type of limits. Like, I have this belief of I have to always work hard, but where does it really come from and what's my own contribution actually to that? I learned that you working in a very harsh university environment where working hard seems to be the norm. I also did that, and that was also I was let's say an example of that to students, to colleagues. So I was like, yeah, it's not only happening to me, I'm actually contributing. I should really take responsibility for that. So that's kind of my little story on limits. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It's yeah, really appreciated like having all these stories of people using the design web. And what here's the I think the I will reveal loads of hearts. I'm loving it. We will reveal the what we shared earlier in a moment, but we also would love to have a group photo. So if you do have a copy of Design Adventures, now's a good moment to go and grab it, and in a moment we'll 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 put you all on gallery and take a group photo. But before we do that, I'll maybe if I take you off for a moment, Maddie, and I'll share my screen. Oh, where's it gone? Oh, okay, hold on. I need to, got too many tabs open. Here we go. Sorry, what I'm going to share with you, because so in the book, obviously books have a limited amount of space, and I wanted to share more so about like Laura's design. So we have designed, thank you, Delvin and Georgia and Teresa, who are part of my design team, for designing the Design Adventures library. So we have this free access to featured designs here, so you can read about my Finding Applewood design. We can see Laura's My Careful Moments personal self-care design, Kickstarter, Helena's Nurturing Rhythms of Self-Care, Susan, who did a weekly design. I think she's still going, but where this design was, it was 16 weeks in, my regenerative arm movement. So you can go and you can click on those and you can read all about that design. And then we've got another membership plan where you can go and so those are all freely available. And then we've got membership plan where you can share more designs and you can reflect on the designs and have and there's more design web resources. So yeah, really happy to be able to share the Design Adventures library so we can all learn from each other's designs. And I think that's yeah, it's a really exciting part of as you said, Maddy, making it more accessible, widely accessible for everyone.
And
So
collaborative
yeah, exactly.
and global. I mean, what more could you want? You've got accessibility, collaboration, and it's worldwide. I mean, what an
Yes.
achievement. I want to honor that.
Yeah, thank you. That was part of the design as well, that it was like, okay, here's the book, but there's so much more behind that that we can really connect with. So let's do a group photo. So let's remove my spotlight and your spotlight, and let's go to gallery. So if you have your book with you, it would be great. I guess because there's more than one screen, so uh, maybe if you don't have your book, you turn your video off, and then the people that have the book will be then on the first screen. That might be a good way of doing it. Yay! Oh, look at that. That's great. I can't see everyone, but some people. Yeah, wonderful. Oh, that is very heartwarming to see so many books around the world. And yeah, I think might have yeah, so where can people get the book if you haven't? So you're able, let's put ourselves back on Spotlight. Me and Maddy, thank you for being in that. Where am I at? Oh, thank you. Um, so we're yeah, so you can get the book. This is, I know, so as you can see, there have been advanced copies moving around the world already, but now we are officially launched that people can get the book from any bookshop. Is that right, Maddy? Any bookshop anywhere in the world? Is that really a
Just
thing?
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's already living happily in America with Chelsea Green, our American colleagues. It's with Periboo in Australia, and our distribution network. Basically, if you go and order it from somewhere, it will get there through the books trade. And that can be a great advantage because you can save a lot of postage, particularly if you live a long way away. Obviously, there is the culturalemergence.com address, and if you buy it from Looby, she gets to sign it for you, and you can ask her to say all sorts of nice things, and she will, and get hopefully not get
RSI from
Oh, RSI again.
no, I won't. I enjoy signing them. So yeah, I do send them out from this very room. So they all go there, and you can get all of my books and the seed deck. But you can also get it from Maddy as well, from Permanent Publications. So yeah,
I'll put that
many
in the
ways
chat.
people can access it. And we're coming to the end of our time here, but we do have an exclusive design cafe, and we will get to hear hopefully from other storytellers and more designing on the 24th of September, and that is for people that order it from me or from you. So yeah, you're welcome to that, and yeah, well, welcome to join us for online design adventures. And yeah, there's many ways to be involved, both free and then also memberships and courses and things. So yeah, trying to get as many people designing. And I'd like to leave us all with a thought that when so we are in the middle of a design which hasn't fully got its name at the moment, but basically the intention is that Design Adventures becomes a bestseller, a global bestseller. And one of the things when we did this design and we were visioning how many ways that this can support people, and we started that visioning before I even wrote the book in Maddy's magical medicine circle in her woods, and we were just imagining all the designers around the world and just how uplifted we would be collectively if we all started designing and engaging with the design web. And that was really that was the starting point of that vision, and that vision really held me as I was writing the book. And then we started like going more into the design for turning this into a bestseller, which will have a maybe by the 24th we'll have a name. And when we got to helps, we were like, that's all of you. That is all of you. This book is going to become a bestseller by all of you telling other people about it. And that is
Sharing your
and
stories.
introducing the design web to other people and sharing it and just bit and role modeling and going, hey, I did this design, it's really helpful, so get engaged, tell people, be our helps, really. Yeah.
And share the joy. So if you buy the book and read it, or if you've already done so, and a designers are risen out of it and realizations, tell us about it and share the joy with other people, because the whole point of this is not just commerce and trying to sell loads of books. The whole point of this is we actually want to change the world for the better. We want the other world that is waiting to be born, and we want to midwife it. We are not here to terminally nurse the dying culture. We're here to help birth the new culture. And that is why we do all of this. And that's what is deeply in our heart. And that was the conversation in the circle that is in my woodland where I do stuff with people. It's all about change in the most positive and beautiful way, and for everyone. So that's the game. That's what we're for.
That is it. And and starting with ourselves and just feeling that for ourselves, that possibilities, that way of engaging with life in a different way by really using the design web. So yeah, we're just really, it's been so beautiful to be with you all today and really appreciate that. And yes, I will be live at the Welsh Permaculture Festival in a couple of weeks, and there's possibilities to come to Applewood as well. Me and Delvin are doing a course together in a couple of weeks, so to do in-person design adventures as well as online design adventures. So yeah, let's get all yeah, be adventurers, be designers, be adventurers, be proactive in life, and just yeah, we've hit our magical hour. I think we'll stay around for a little bit longer, but for those of you that need to go, we will end there with a big flourish of emojis emojis. I'm loving it. um, and yeah, really appreciate that. But yeah, well, I'll stay behind. If you have further thoughts and questions you'd like to ask for me. But yeah, thank you everyone for being here. It's been so
Yes.
lovely. Thank you, Maddy, for everything. It's just been yeah, such a pleasure to be with you here, and such a pleasure to collaborate and birth design adventures into the world. Yeah. So let's